And I want to start with a little story about the Canberra bubble, the Canberra bureaucracy, and a little oopsie, or as they say in politics, a gaffe. Yes, that's right, a gaffe, which is a term which has been famously defined as when someone in politics accidentally tells you the truth.
And it is the biggest dump of truth-telling, if you like, that you ever get from the public service to the government.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you're responding to a subheading in a document, a partial, no.
But you know what? This all gets to a bigger problem here, and that is the nature of truth and government and what we, the people, you and I, are allowed to know rather than just assume.
Right. So here's a question that'll make every hardworking Australian's blood boil. How did we end up with a government that's secretly planning to tax us into the ground while lying about fixing the housing crisis? Because, mate, I've got my hands on a leaked Treasury document that's so explosive, it's going to change everything you thought you knew about where this country is heading. We're talking about a confidential government briefing that was never supposed to see the light of day. A document so damaging that when it accidentally got leaked to the ABC in July, Treasury officials were scrambling like headless chooks trying to get it taken down. Today, I'm going to walk you through the most shocking revelations from this leaked Treasury document that prove the Albanese government has been playing us for absolute mugs. From secret plans to jack up your taxes while you're already struggling with the cost of living, to the admission that their housing promises were complete BS from day one.
So again, great that we get an insight into the truth.
On July 14th, 2025, the ABC submitted a Freedom of Information request to Treasury. But here's where it gets juicy. Some poor bureaucrat at Treasury made the kind of mistake that brings down governments. Instead of sending the usual sanitised documents, they accidentally included what's called an incoming government brief. Now, these incoming briefs are the holy grail of political documents. They're prepared by the public service immediately after an election to brief new ministers on the real state of affairs. No spin, no political BS, just the cold hard truth. And mate, they are never supposed to be made public. The moment ABC journalists opened that email, they knew they'd struck gold. Within hours, the story was live and Treasury officials were having absolute meltdowns trying to get it taken down. But here's the beautiful thing about Australian media law. Once a document is legally obtained through FOI, the media has every right to publish it. According to this confidential briefing, Treasury flat out told Jim Chalmers that tax should be raised as part of broader tax reform if the government wants to avoid a complete budget disaster. First up, they're coming for indirect taxes, the sneaky taxes that hit you every day without you realising it. We're talking fuel excise, cigarette taxes, and here's the kicker. They're even looking at jacking up the GST.
Indirect taxes, it's things like the GST, but it's also things where we do really dumb stuff, like cigarette tax.
But wait, there's more. They specifically mention superannuation tax as a target. They've already announced plans to double the tax rate on super balances above $3 million from 15% to 30%. But here's what they're not telling you. They want to tax unrealised capital gains. Let me explain what that means. Say you've got shares in your super that have gone up in value on paper, but you haven't sold them yet. Under their new system, you'd have to pay tax on that paper profit, even though you haven't seen a cent of actual money. It's like being forced to pay tax on your house value going up, even though you're still living in it. And here's the really sneaky part. While they're jacking up all these indirect taxes, they actually want to lower income taxes. Why? Because Labor cuts income tax. Sounds better than Labor introduces 20 new ways to pick your pocket every time you leave the house.
And the other big heading in this unredacted part of the document, this pledge to build 1.2 million homes over 5 years, that it will not.
Remember all those press conferences where Anthony Albanese promised to build 1.2 million new homes by 2029? Well, according to Treasury's own analysis, that promise was dead in the water from day one. The leaked document doesn't mince words. It flat out states the target will not be met. To hit their target, Australia needs to build 240,000 new homes every year. In the first year alone, we only managed 175,000. That's a shortfall of 65,000 homes, and that was supposed to be the easy year. Various industry groups have been warning about this for months. The Master Builders Association reckons we'll fall short by 166,000 homes. The Property Council thinks we'll miss by a whopping 462,000 homes. We're not talking about being little behind. We're talking about missing the mark by nearly 500,000 homes. The reasons are absolutely predictable. We're short 90,000 construction workers. Building costs have gone through the roof. The planning system takes years to approve anything. But here's the disgusting part. While Treasury was writing this briefing admitting the housing target was impossible, Albanese was still out there making speeches about being on track.
The National Press Club this week, unless there is more spending discipline, there's only two options: increase taxes or grow the economy faster.
Treasury laid out 3 ways to fix Australia's budget mess. Option 1, grow the economy. But they basically said, good luck with that, because Australia's productivity is in the toilet and our GDP per capita has been negative for 2 years straight. Option 2, cut government spending. The NDIS alone costs over $60 billion a year, more than education, more than defence. But try suggesting cuts to disability spending and see how quickly you get labelled as heartless. It's political suicide. Which brings us to option 3, raise taxes. And this is the path Treasury is strongly recommending because it's the only one that's politically feasible. They can't grow the economy, they can't cut spending, so they're going to squeeze every last dollar out of hardworking Australians instead.
You're referring to governments don't release the incoming government brief. It's been released in error, and that's, these things happen from time to time. As I said before, I'm pretty relaxed about it.
When this document leaked, Jim Chalmers had to face the media. His performance was a masterclass in political spin. First, he said he was pretty relaxed about the revelations. Pretty relaxed. Here's a document exposing his secret agenda to tax us into the ground, and he's pretty relaxed. When a journalist asked directly about the housing target, Chalmers got all huffy and said, "I have read the incoming government brief. I don't need reminding of what it says. I read it on the Sunday after the election." In other words, yeah, I knew we were lying about housing from day one, but I'm annoyed you found out. It's like a kid being caught lying about homework and getting angry at their parents for checking their backpack. The arrogance is breathtaking. This leaked document was preparation for Jim Chalmers' Economic Reform Roundtable happening August 19th to 21st. Day 3 is about budget sustainability and tax reform, which is where your future tax burden gets decided. The Coalition has demanded no net tax increase, but politicians are experts at loopholes. They might not increase income tax rates, but they'll introduce 5 new taxes on things you've never heard of. They might not call it a tax increase, they'll call it a levy or a sustainability charge.
Truths like, that $1.2 million home building target that the government has been promising that they were going to meet? Well, according to the briefing, that's impossible.
Let me paint the picture of what's coming. Higher fuel costs every time you fill up. Higher prices on everything you buy if they jack up the GST. If you're building wealth through super, they're changing the rules in the middle of the game. And while they know they can't fix housing, prices keep skyrocketing. Sydney's price-to-income ratio is forecast to hit 10.3 by 2026. Meanwhile, house prices rose again in July, the 6th consecutive monthly increase. For young couples earning a combined $100,000, they'd need to save $200,000 just for a deposit on $1 million house.
Of course, hilariously, the Treasury tried to quash the story, and when they released the data in error, they asked the ABC reporter to delete the email, delete the incorrectly redacted brief, and I gotta say, good on the reporter, he said fat.
This leaked document proves our politicians operate on two levels. There's the public level, with promises about fixing housing and keeping taxes low. Then there's the secret level, where they admit their promises are impossible and plan massive tax increases. When Albanese promised 1.2 million homes, Treasury had already told him it wouldn't happen. When Chalmers talked about fair taxes, Treasury was recommending massive increases. They're not just lying about what they're going to do, they're lying about why they have to do it. But here's what makes this infuriating. Instead of apologising for misleading us, they've attacked the media for reporting the truth. They think we're too stupid to notice when their actions don't match their words. Well, here's a newsflash. We notice. We notice every broken promise, every hidden agenda, every time you treat us like we're dumb. And when the next election comes, we'll show you exactly what we think of politicians who lie about our country's future. If you found this eye-opening, smash that subscribe button and share this with every Australian you know. Because in a democracy, an informed citizen is the most powerful force for change. To see the latest Australian crisis, click this video here.